That's right, my friends, it is that time of year when everybody in WWE starts pointing at the WrestleMania sign. It's just become a tradition, but I always feel left out. Unfortunately, I don't have a sign around here, so instead I've decided just to stop and point at you. Weird, isn't it? It's very, very awkward. But the good news is that we are officially now on the road to WrestleMania, so pick your vehicle of choice and smash down that gas pedal and let's see where we get to. Also, my name is Simon, you are watching WhatCulture Wrestling, and we just had an episode of Monday Night Raw, but it's not done until we give it the ups and downs treatment. So let's up those downs for Monday Night Raw. Actually, before we do that, please head over to the community tab on the YouTube page and vote in this week's Retro Ups and Downs poll. And this time, you have asked for No Way Out 2001, the Invasion pay-per-view, Armageddon 2008, and the Royal Rumble from 2005. I mean, it's your choices. Go and do it. Drew McIntyre, who is still our WWE champion, was out to kick things off on Raw, and he just wanted to be the nicest guy ever. Because he got on a microphone, he said, man, that Royal Rumble pay-per-view, everybody that was on the card, they absolutely smashed it. I love them all. And until he could get any further, out came Edge. Now, for those that are mad that a quote-unquote 47-year-old man won the Royal Rumble, have you forgotten about story? And have you forgotten about narrative? Sometimes you have to strike when the iron is hot, and if we can tell the tale of Edge trying to win his World Championship back, which, by the way, he never lost, well, I think we should do it, especially because I want him to go up against Roman Reigns, and I want my tribal chief to ruin his dreams. That's just what Roman does. Drew started to take all of this praise and then put it on Edge's shoulders, but Edge then contradicted Goldberg and said, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? I just won the Royal Rumble. You shouldn't be saying nice things about me. You should be keeping an eye in the back of your head because you don't know what I'm going to do because I am the ultimate opportunist. He tied it into his nickname. I did like this though because it did separate Drew McIntyre from the back. He has the confidence in his abilities that he will be Mr. Nice and Happy. And then from nowhere, out came Sheamus, mostly because it's Monday Night Raw, and when you start Monday Night Raw, wrestlers just keep coming out. But he didn't want to hear any of this because he didn't even think that Edge deserved an opinion because he has sat on his arse for the last 10 years. You have no idea how much that made me laugh. Sheamus sees being injured and having a bad neck that is so bad, if you take a fall, it could break, as just straight up laziness. The Radar superstar didn't need any of this though, and he's been in the game long enough to know that now he needs to go away and weigh up his options, and he is going to be on SmackDown. But this was also done so that McIntyre could lock horns with him, because when he turned around, he got booted in the face by his supposed best friend. And yes, look, we all knew this was coming, but it was good. I wanted it. WWE actually held off for far longer than I thought they were going to do, so kudos for them. And if we do a mini Sheamus versus Drew program, who doesn't want that? Sheamus also cut a promo afterwards saying that he is sick and tired of being called Drew McIntyre's best friend. He's Sheamus, damn it, and he wants the WWE title. And I thought all of this was wrapped up in a very nice little package and was very entertaining. Back on commentary, Byron Saxton couldn't believe that Sheamus would pick the WWE title over friendship as if we were watching Sesame Street. And just as a quick aside, throughout the night, we kept coming back to the announcers who were like, well, I don't know why Sheamus did this. He literally told you. Anyway, like I say, this was really, really good, and I'm excited to see those two guys fight. And then, man, I tell you, it was Bopbby Lashley versus Riddle for the US title, and WWE must have done something right, because my brain went, hey Simon, we're excited about this. And I was like, oh, that's excellent, brain. And then I should have known. What a stupid thinking device I have. Down. Because I just presumed there would be some kind of plan, but there wasn't. Bopbby Lashley and Riddle beat each other up for a while, and then when Riddle was on the apron, Lashley applied the Hurt Lock, and the ref was like, look, dude, he ain't in the ring, therefore I've got to give you the 5 count, and he got to 5, and Lashley was like, I don't really want to release this hold, so he got disqualified. Lashley then went absolutely crazy afterwards and beat the hell out of Riddle to the point even MVP was like, dude, what are you doing? You're going to get arrested and you're probably going to go to jail. But more importantly, bring it down. There it is, the DQ counter. We are now up to 10. There was also something very concerning after this because Riddle was on the floor like, oh, dude, I don't know where I am. What's going on? And I am terrified that WWE is about to do some kind of story where Matthew Riddle forgets who he is. Please do not do this, World Wrestling Entertainment, because I know how you handle these things. It's like a sledgehammer into a goose. That ain't goose ain't surviving. We then found out that Bad Bunny was gonna be back on Raw, and I still don't understand why people are getting upset about this. Just go and look at the views he did at the Royal Rumble. The man is money, and also here, he was talking to Damien Priest, who was gonna make his proper main roster debut this evening. That's just a good relationship. People will see Damien Priest and go, well, he must be a big star. He's hanging out with Bad Bunny. I have no problem with it. A Randy Orton promo followed this as well, where we found out that our main event is going to be Edge versus the Viper. And you know what Randy Orton is like right now. You can give him any kind of material and he just makes it sound like the most badass thing ever. He could read a kid's book like, and then I went up to bed and I was so happy that my family was back together. And you'd be like, man, this is terrifying. He does feel like a moron though, because he promised that Edge was never going to come back to the company. And now not only did he return, but he won the flipping Royal Rumble, which is why later he's gonna finish him off for good. I like Randy Orton, up. It was then everything with Mustafa Ali and Kofi Kingston. I just want to say, I really enjoy the narrative here. You can go back to 2019 and go, oh yeah, I can see why Mustafa Ali is a little bit annoyed, because his push was taken away from him after he got injured, and that's what spurned into life Kofi Mania. So for that little nugget, it's getting it up. But the subsequent match between Mustafa and Xavier Woods, I mean, again, like I always say, what was the flipping point? Down. And they did have a decent match. These two are really talented. But at one point, T-Bar just broke up a pin, and the referee was like, well, I suppose that's okay. So if you are trying to keep track, you can't do a submission move on the apron. That's not allowed, but you can just get in the ring if you're not involved and beat somebody up. And of course, it ended. I'll give you a second to try and work it out. That's right, with a distraction. Because Ali used that like it was some kind of Pokemon move, but Xavier Woods was ahead of the game, and he then used it instead, and we basically had two most devastating moves in all sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, but Xavier's was better than Ali's. Look, essentially, he got the 1, 2, 3. So it was a fluke. It's always a fluke, and it happens every single week. So bring it down. That is 20, I think. I can't keep count. It's impossible, but it's around the 20 range. 20 on the 1st, 2nd of February is too much. That is essentially 5 a week. And that was it too. I'm not 100% sure what we got out of it, but please, just give me Kofi Kingston versus Mustafa Ali at WrestleMania. It will tickle my feet. Whatever that means. I don't even like my feet being tickled. Okay, look, right, Miz TV. Was it ideal? Absolutely not. And just to be completely honest, I find a lot of the skits that Miz and John Morrison do is like firing a gun at a target and instead you hit an old woman who was standing over there. But in terms of what we achieved, up. Because Bad Bunny was their guest, and after berating him for way too long because they just wanted a recording contract, out came Damien Priest and he just started to beat everybody up. Also, I thought Bunny came across really well here because he meant, hey, I'm a huge wrestling fan. I'd love to be a WWE superstar one day. So the good guys felt good and the bad guys felt like dicks. But yeah, going back to Priest, he not only threw a bunch of fists here, but he then had an official match with The Miz and he won after the reckoning, whatever the hell we're calling it, and he got the 1, 2, 3. Now, it is a shame this only happened after John Morrison had been smashed in the face with a microphone thanks to Bunny, which distracted The Miz, so bring it down. That is number 21. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But look, Damien Priest is really good. Don't do what you do to every single other NXT guy. Push him, and then when you think you push him enough, push him some more. Push him into another building. That's how much I want him to be pushed. Also, surely now that he has beaten Mr. Money in the Bank, the briefcase should go to him. That would actually save it. We then got a nice, normal tag match. And I had to go up to my window, look out, and surprise, surprise, what went flying by? It was a pig. But it was the Raw Tag Team Champions, Shelton Benjamin, Cedric Alexander, taking on the Lucha House Party for some reason. But it was good. Up. MVP was on commentary, which is always a joy, and even though Shelton and Cedric almost did lose it towards the end, they were able to keep it together, because basically as some kind of revenge, Shelton just tagged himself in at the end, he hit the pay dirt, 1, 2, 3, and MVP was all like, Cedric, you don't need to get mad, it's all about the victories, and it's all about the wins, and also, we're still the champs. He is correct. We do probably need a proper tag team feud at some point, but in terms of what this was and what it gave me, I ain't gonna complain. And then we are officially teasing the breakup between Charlotte and Asuka, because of course we are. This is what happens if you are a WWE talent. You get born, you become a wrestler, you then get in a team and you break up, and eventually you die. Of called the Circle of Life. But Sarah Schreiber was conducting an interview here, and Charlotte was really sad because she knew that she screwed up at the Royal Rumble, and she's really sorry to her partner Asuka. And while Asuka was like, I understand, I get it, at the end she also looked at her like, listen, babe, I've been doing all right up to this point. Don't screw it up for me again. So you can just see that eventually this will be our new feud, and you can probably guess that Charlotte will defeat Asuka for the title, but that's fine as long as this happens. Afterwards, start a feud between Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, which culminates at WrestleMania, and that's where Ripley gets her own revenge and becomes the champion. If we do that, I can handle it. But also, I do feel a little bit sorry for Asuka. She's just being booted into the corner. She should be one of your main events. And then we kind of sparked all that into life, and look, it was okay. Because we had a triple threat tag team match which saw Charlotte and Asuka take on Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, and the very strange tag team of Lana and Naomi. I mean, why the hell not? And I could have handled this if we had just kept things simple, but of course we couldn't, because halfway through you got whoa, da, 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 and out came Ric Flair and Lacey Evans, and even the commentators went, oh man, not this again. And I was like, well, wouldn't you know it? That's exactly how I feel. And Charlotte was also so done with it that she just tagged Asuka in and she left. She couldn't be bothered. It was like some kid throwing the toys out of their pram, and as ever, it distracted and upset Asuka so much, she got slammed in the face by Naomi's bum with the rear view. 1, 2, 3, and yes, somehow your brand new #1 contenders are Lana and Naomi. I swear I love Raw. But you do have to take that as a distraction, because Asuka didn't know what was going on, so bring it down, 22. We just have to take our foot off the pedal. Down. I do have to say that I love Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke as a tag team. Just go and watch their entrance. It's as if they are characters in WWE 2K. They come out, they stop, they look at each other, they flex, they walk 4 moments, they stop, they flex, they get in the ring and flex. In fact, nobody flexes more than Dana Brooke, and it is slowly winning me around. An interview with Drew McIntyre followed, and while he said he'd be perfectly cool with having a match with Edge at WrestleMania, it was the way he addressed Sheamus here. Drew McIntyre is really good. Because he knows that although they do fight all the time, this one felt a little bit different, and it felt like Sheamus was about to flush their friendship down the toilet. And I hope that he does. Again, I want to see these two throw fisticuffs at each other. I bet it will actually surprise you. And then randomly we got told that Carlito is officially back on Raw. And I know he was at the Royal Rumble, but no one explained to me how this happened, but I don't care. For some reason, I think Carlito is the greatest wrestler ever. I don't know why, but when I see him with this stupid theme tune, you know, I spin the face, the people don't want to be cool. I was like, yeah, Carlito, you get him. He getting up. He was also magically just teaming with Jeff Hardy to take on Elias and First Commander Jackson Riker in the feud that will never end. But once more, I don't give two shibs, because Jeff Hardy and Carlito won. And he hit the backstabber onto Elias before Hardy smashed him with the Swanton Bomb. And while I don't want these two to become a tag team, I'm essentially saying that all of this was okay because of Carlito. Also, if you didn't know, Carlito definitely weighs 240 pounds. I mean, the commentary team would not stop going on about that. They're like, oh, it's Carlito. He weighs 240 pounds. Oh, look at the shape of Carlito. Do you know he weighs 240 pounds? Oh, he did a kip up. He's 240 pounds. All right, I get it, I'll write it down, and I'll use it in some trivia down the line. We then got this fantastic video focusing on Edge and Randy Orton at WrestleMania and making it very clear that when they do clash this evening, it will be the last time ever. And then Edge did a promo, and he's just Edge. He knows what to say, he makes you all emotional, he gets you invested, and this is another reason why I don't care that he won the Royal Rumble. In fact, I'm all for it. He is getting it up. Edge also bumped into Damien Priest here and had nice things to say about him, and that's important. The casual fan sees it and goes, well, I should probably keep an eye on this guy. Once again, please do not break Damien Priest. It was then Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross, and I am going to be honest with you. I don't mind all this hocus pocus stuff. Wrestling has been doing it for years, and I know that a lot of people like it, and good for them. But what gets me, because I'm a massive wrestling nerd, is that Alexa Bliss versus Nikki Cross should have been a grudge match that WWE has been bigging up and promoting up for ages. I know what's happened here, pump myself back up. But no, instead it just randomly happens and Nikki Cross has to pretend, oh, what are you doing to me, Alexa? I don't know who that is. What are you doing to me, Alexa? I can't believe it, we were meant to be friends. You two haven't even engaged in weeks. And because of that, he's got to get it down. It also went like this, you'll have to stay with me because it gets complicated. Alexa Bliss was the child version of Alexa Bliss, and then she transformed into the coffee version of Alexa Bliss, but then she transformed back into the child version of Alexa Bliss. And all of this was too much for Nikki Cross, and she got hit with Sister Abigail, 1, 2, 3, and we were done. I'm gonna suppose we only put this match here because it then transitioned into the main event, which allowed Alexa Bliss to walk off, and she went past Randy Orton, and that damn Randy wouldn't even look her in the face. Well, you just know there's gonna be some consequences. And there was, but first we did have Edge versus Randy Orton, and I don't think it's possible for these two to have a bad match. I mean, they just have such good chemistry, and clearly Edge has been cleared for days because Orton just chucked him into the steel steps at one point, and I turned into his dad like, my word, Adam, I hope you're okay. And you never know with him either, because he's so good at selling, he gets you every time. This is also why I don't care that he's 47. Somehow he has barely missed a step, and given that he had to give up basically a decade of his career, let's get it all done now. Randy got back in control after a mini Edge flurry after he poked the rated R superstar in the eye, and Orton's been doing that a lot recently, and every time it makes me laugh, and I don't even know why. He was then gonna go for the RKO, but you already know what happened in the corner on the top rope. Poof! There appeared Alexa Bliss. Now, she had a lot of blood coming out of her mouth, and I'm not 100% sure what that was meant to mean, but it did distract Randy Orton to such a degree he got speared, and Edge beat him for the 1, 2, 3. Now, a couple of things, bring down the board. Is that 22? I don't even know. Maybe it's 23. See, I can't even remember the numbers that come out of my mouth because there are so many. But for everyone going, well, why didn't this distract Edge? Listen, pal, Edge was in the Brood. He used to blood. In fact, he used to do blood baths. He probably looked at Alexa Bliss and started going, memories, like something in my mind. So it actually makes perfect sense. And I don't even mind this other than the fact it was another distraction. Because again, if you tuned into Raw and didn't think that something like this was going to happen, then you probably weren't really paying attention in all the Raws for the last, I don't know, 7 months. And it also means if you do want to do one more round between Edge and Randy Orton, you probably can, because this doesn't count as a victory. And also, we have to stop this whole WWE would never have done this in the Attitude Era. What are you on? In the Attitude Era, The Undertaker was chokeslammed through his parents' graves by his brother, who everybody thought was dead. And yes, this was Kane, who had fire powers, and by the way, the dead man had lightning powers. That argument does not hold up. It really did make me chuckle though, because we haven't seen The Fiend in weeks now, so now the feud is actually between Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. And I want to see that match. I mean, obviously I don't, but secretly I do. But don't worry, we ain't ever gonna get it. Which did bring us to the end of Raw, and my word, did they have to cut off quick. I don't know how they can't get all of their content within 3 hours, but something always seems to go awry. But I'll tell you this, I didn't actually think it was the best episode I've ever seen, but because of Edge, and because of people like Carlito, and because Drew McIntyre is so damn good, and the whole Sheamus turn, I actually thought it was all right. I mean, maybe it could have been a bit more hype because it was the show after the Royal Rumble, but I was sports entertained enough, and I'm gonna give it an up. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Raw, and then like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Why don't you watch some more videos here, including Royal Rumble ups and downs, that went up yesterday, and you can go to social media and you can find us. You just search for WhatCulture. My name is Simon WhatCulture. Thank you for joining me as always, and I will see you throughout the week, because there's just so much wrestling. It works for me.